Radio.
Hello. Welcome to the Property and Investment Show with yourself, Anthony Kimani, and my beautiful co-hosts. I'll let her introduce herself.
Violet Wambui, property consultant.
Anthony Kimani, social entrepreneur. We are back for another exciting show. Violet, how do you think we kicked it off?
I think last week was amazing, very informative, and the people who are watching us gave us really good feedback.
Yeah. As well, the feedback I saw on WhatsApp groups and stuff about how informative the show was. I think it would be very, very, very deserved to have Mr. Jonathan coming back again and again.
No, definitely.
There's a lot of gems and we're getting questions, and if you found out or you just got curious about anything that was said on the last show that wasn't clear, or something you would want more information on, or you have any other question that popped into your mind, just contact us. We have the numbers for Jambo Radio on the website. You can call into the show 0141-530-2787. So today we have another exciting show as always, and today we are going to be speaking to, I will let Violet introduce our guest.
CEO of Wakala, Brian. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, Brian.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us? I think we're having a little bit of streaming issue. We're speaking to Brian from Wakala. Wakala is a company in Kenya.
Selling real estate, yes. Selling land, yeah.
Can you give us a background about Wakala? What do you know about Wakala?
Oh, they've been selling land for so many years. I think Brian is back.
Brian, you're here. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Sorry about the technical difficulty. Can you guys hear me there?
Yes, we can hear you.
Brian, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about yourself, please.
Okay, so my name is Brian Gashari. Been an
I think we keep losing you there. I think the internet. Are we working with Safaricom, or which network are we on, or is it ours? Can you hear me, Brian? Hello.
Yes,
can you hear me?
Let me change my internet. I can.
Okay.
Let me change.
Okay, thank you so much. You'll join after you do that. Okay, Violet. We've lost Mr. Brian there, but I'm sure he's gonna come back to us. What can you tell me about Wakala that I might not know?
They were formerly known as PRC, so they rebranded to Wakala. Brian will tell us shortly, and he has really, really good products. We're talking about if you have £165 per month, you can own land in Rongai, just past Rongai, in a place called Berika, for 28,000 Kenya shillings for the next 30 months as we wait for Brian to join in. Yeah,
that's amazing. But my question is now, for you as someone who's done property in Kenya, in Dubai, I'm not even sure the guests have heard about your own profile. We have not spoke about this yet. We've been having guests. Let me change this up again. Let us hear about you and your property consultancy. Where did it start? Where have you worked? So that we can work from a background of people know they're speaking to someone who has done this themselves.
Yeah. So just before I graduated with my BCom in JQuads, I got a job with Standard Chartered Bank, Cheromo. So I was a mortgage consultant. So I did that for 2 years. Then my friend came from Dubai and she told me, "Oh, I only have 2 days and I need a property." And so I just told her of somebody I knew who was a project manager somewhere. And I told him, "Oh, I have these properties that I know of." So I forwarded information to her. So she flew in, her and her husband flew in, bought a shop, bought a house. Then 1 week later, I got a check of like $500,000. I'm like, what is happening here?
Are you kidding
I'm
me?
not kidding.
When you're fresh out of uni,
Yeah.
a friend tells you they want property.
Yeah.
They just told you out of curiosity, or
Just-
they thought you know
Just
your
out
stuff?
of curiosity.
You were not like looking to even go into property.
No, I was not looking to get into property.
And that's how you.
That's how.
How
I
old are
started.
you at this point?
I was 25 thereabout.
25, $500,000.
Yeah,
I don't think I
thereabout.
would be sitting right here. Some things would have happened.
So
So what happens after that?
Oh, I resigned my job and just started doing properties. And so I worked for various companies. I went to Dubai, started doing properties there. I worked for a real estate company. I worked there for like a whole year.
Yeah.
Selling properties in Dubai to people in Kenya and people in Europe specifically. So
So people in Kenya are buying property in Dubai.
Oh, yes. Oh, I had my bosses fly in Kenya. We had like a golf tournament, and a lot of people really invested in Dubai. So people are investing.
So when you buy property in Dubai, what are you buying? Is this a flat? Is it a house?
Mostly
What-
flats.
And then what do you do with it? Like you
Rent it out.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
What would you say then, as someone who's now doing property even in the UK?
Sorry, say that again.
What would you say as someone who's done property in Kenya, Dubai, and UK? What is the difference? What is like? Would you advise someone to go to Kenya first? Like if someone has money right now in the UK,
Yeah.
what would you tell them? Invest here, invest in Kenya, or invest in Dubai?
Invest where your heart is. Definitely. Check your returns on investment, where it will work best for you. What are your retirement plans? Why are you investing? So at the end of the day, both the three places are really good places to invest in. Some people invest in Scotland because their families are here, their children are here. Some people will invest back in Kenya because they want to retire in Kenya, they want to leave a legacy. Some people will invest in Dubai because of their returns on investments, because they want a holiday home. Yeah, just
get it.
diversifying your portfolio.
I can see we have Mr. Brian back. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can, but my net is pretty weak, but I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully we get some information from yourself. We were just introducing Wakala. I've just heard from Violet about some property in Birika. So tell us about Wakala.
Yeah, so I basically started selling property.
We can hear you. Go on, I think we can hear you. Brian.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah.
I'll give it some try. So saying, I started selling property about 4 years back,
Uh-huh.
and we've been able to do quite a number of projects, about
Okay.
over 50 of them.
Uh-huh.
And we just rebranded to Wakala a year back.
All right.
And yes, so currently we are selling gated community Jado and Nanyuki.
You said something there. You rebranded from. You just rebranded to Wakala. What did you rebrand from?
So we
The internet is really letting us down. Okay, we can hear you again. We are back. we understand, we've been in Kenya.
Oh yeah. And
That's it's normal.
oh yeah.
It depends on where you are, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or even the electricity may go off.
But
in
I've realized even in
seconds.
the UK, there's a lot of places where the internet does that.
Yeah. Yeah.
For example, my property because you're talking about property.
Oh,
the
yeah.
property I used to live in
Mm-hmm.
did not have internet connection.
Yeah.
Like, unless you had Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
when you get into the house, the mobile signal goes.
Oh.
And it's just here in the middle of the city.
Oh yeah, yeah. I literally had to change providers like 3 times here in the UK just because my phone will not get any internet in the house. So I had to change like 3 or 4 times.
That is so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have to blame the property owner? Or do you have to blame the people who provide the internet?
No, not anybody.
Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
as you were saying, you're giving us your background.
Mhm.
Now you're telling us about why people would buy something somewhere else. Yeah?
Yeah, I was basically at the end of the day, you have to decide what is good for you. Why are you investing? There are people who will be like, they want to diversify their portfolios. They want to maybe buy a property in Scotland, in the UK, buy a property in Dubai, buy a property in Kenya, Tanzania. So you can basically at the end of the day, it just goes down to what background have you done? Is this good for me? There are people here now, people are seeing like, okay, our children may want to go back at home, but they also go to universities here. So they are buying properties here, like for their children in the future. They're also buying properties in Kenya. So at the end of the day, it's just personal reasons.
Yeah. And are you able to like tell, because now you've sold a lot of land or property in different countries, how can you judge the population or the demography of the people who actually invest in property? I'm sure you've dealt with Asians, you've dealt with Caucasians, you've dealt with Africans. In terms of numbers, how would you describe how it looks as someone who's just been selling property?
I've just recently started doing properties in the UK, maybe like 2 years ago. And when I go, say, in London to sell property, in England, basically to sell properties that are in Kenya, and then you mention, oh, I have properties in Scotland going for maybe between 70,000, 30,000, 100,000. It instantly sparks people's interest in the sense that, you mean properties in Scotland are that cheap? Like, can I get a property for 70,000? Like, that's a fully, like it's a house that's ready to be occupied, 3-bedroom, own garden. Because these kinds of properties in London go for about maybe 150, 200, 300K. So, so people are moving from England to Scotland. Majority of the people who are investing, to be very honest, it's between 30 and 50 thereabout. Okay. But there's also these new Gen Zs. They're also investing. They're looking at buying properties in Kenya, properties here. As long as you get your credit score right, you get all the information that you're required to do. Because sometimes you think, I'm too young to invest, but it's just getting, you have your first job, your 6 months pay slip, your credit score is clean. Anybody can surely just invest. It's lack of information that's making people just, back down or refuse to invest. But, it's possible for any age group.
And what do you think about yourself as someone in property? How is it, right now there's everything on social media. I see videos telling you, just go buy a house here, then sell it here, then you paint it here, then it will sell at this amount, then it will go here, and then you'll make this amount of money. Get into properties. Every influencer or, I don't know, property guru telling you that there's some magic trick and you will get rich tomorrow or something.
They say...
You've been there for how many years now?
Almost 15, I guess. Yeah. Thereabout.
So how easy was it for you? Is it better because you're a lady? Is it harder? what have been your challenges in that kind of?
You know, it's not like the corporate
profession?
world where there's a glass ceiling when it comes to a woman or a man. This is investment. Investment does not know, you know, what gender you are. So if you as Tony buy a property and I buy another property next to it, you know, the appreciation will just be the same.
What
So
if I'm asking about someone in the career, someone who wants to do that as a career like yourself? Have you found
building
it
like a
easier for
property
you,
portfolio?
even for you just selling land to people, as well as you investing, versus a guy who would do the same? Do you think the challenges are equal, or are you like getting a job in Dubai? How was that?
It's the connections I had. So hi Brian. Sorry about that. I'll keep expounding on that.
Hi everyone, sorry about the earlier mishap, but I'm now
Yeah.
plugged in.
Yeah.
Okay. We were speaking about, you were just telling us more about Wakala,
And
how
why-
long you've
yeah.
been in the business, why you changed the name.
Okay. So basically, I used to live and work abroad for a couple of years, maybe about 2.5 years.
All right.
Came back to Kenya, and then decided that I'd like to get into entrepreneurship. So at the time we started selling land. I was doing a development of houses, and we started selling property. So about 12 years later, we've been able to do quite a number of projects. And about 4 years back, we rebranded to Wakala due to a project we did. And we just thought that given because the game has changed, we were fortunate, like we were one of the fast front runners in terms of selling land, as how we see land being sold now. And when you're innovating and creating, you'll definitely open lights in areas that people haven't seen yet. So about 4 years back, we got into a project called Kilimo Biashara, which was a fantastic idea. I think it's still a brilliant idea,
Yeah.
where we were to farm on behalf of people. A few other companies got plugged in after, but it did not work because with farming, you can't guarantee return. So that really did not go well. So we had to deal with the investors, talk to them, pay people back, and do that whole process. And we thought after that journey we would need to rebrand to focus on what we believe is going to be the future. And real estate has definitely changed, and the trends have changed since we began selling property before. But I'm sure I'll be speaking about that later. So that's what happened.
So your company Wakala, what unique solution does it provide for property owners?
Okay. So I mean that's a fantastic question. What has happened? What we've seen, our customers are asking for value. People just don't want to buy land for the sake of buying land. And then COVID happened. So COVID gave people. So you've got guys with title deeds. You've got land in your. You've got lots of land in your house, in your safe. But what COVID taught us, or taught a lot of Kenyans, is that what is a value? What value can you get from your investment? And if you want to resell it, are you able to resell your property at a higher value that you invested? There's also been trends where some of the properties we sold and our competitors sold could not fetch good market value or were very difficult to sell. So what we are currently doing is that we have very well priced products, meaning that investors can have their capital gains. The other thing is that they are near towns, because what we've seen is that properties near town grow well. Like we were one of the first companies to plug into Syokimau Katani before the expressway, before the Mombasa Road.
Yeah.
And when I got plugged in there, we were seeing giraffes and things like that. our investors have gone up 10x in terms of their value, minimum, based on what they've seen. So our current products are basically near towns, because what happens is that what I've learned is that near towns, the populations tend to grow outside towns. So, for example, say in Kiserian. So Kiserian used to be a really small town back in the day.
Yeah.
But right now, because of Rongai and the spillover of Rongai, spillover of Kitengela, the next town is what grows. So Birika, as we speak, is the spillover town of Kiserian. So it's a beautiful place. I mean, it's one of those things like in the short term, 2-3 years, you'll have people now beginning to go there, build there, and it's also a good place to speculate because when you plug into that, it's cheaper. Same thing with Rwaka, because I went to school near those sides of Tigoni, and same thing. You went there was nothing there. Back in the day, it was just plain. But given that it's near a town, near a center, the spillovers tend to go to the next place or the next town. So, yeah, so that's what's happening.
That's great. Awesome to hear about that. I actually remember being young and coming to Nairobi for the first time, and places like Riru were just grass on both sides of the road. Up to the only building was the place where there's a barrack. And right now, that whole place is all gone. Now, speaking about Wakala, you're trying to obviously market or sell land to people who are abroad, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear from people here. This, you know, they don't know how it goes. How have you structured your company so that someone from the diaspora can acquire land while they're here? All the paperwork and everything goes in right. They've been able to also do their background checks. How do you handle that as Wakala, the company?
Okay, thank you. That's a really good question. Like I remember, like as same here when I used to live abroad, the game was you sent to your trusted, who then ends up doing what you call character development. You know, you're like
Yeah, exactly.
get played,
Yeah.
and it's the person you grew up with, the one you played Bano with, the one you used to hang out with, and it's that. So what we do is we don't handle cash directly. So what we've done is that we've gotten a lawyer who takes all the funds that the investor pays. We also encourage investors to do searches. So for example, if you have a property you want, we'll give you the corresponding title to that. If you don't have any person to help you with, but we can assist you get the search, or if you have somebody who can assist you, you get a search on the land. So I think that's something we are doing very, very different. And I mean, this thing has come over years of trial and error. So the best way is first you make sure your old property is titled. Once the property is titled, you make sure that the investor does the search on that land to verify that the land is clean and everything is fine. We encourage buyers to get a lawyer. Probably will cost you maybe probably £100 or $150 just to get like somebody to go through the agreement, and then you pay, which for us we pay through a lawyer account.
Brian, tell us about Birika Gardens, please, and what unique features it has.
Yeah, so thank you, Violet. Birika Gardens is it's in between Isinya and Berian, and we built it and packaged it as a future residential property. So our estimates is that in the next 2 or 3 years, we'll start seeing a lot more people spilling over from Rongai, Kitengela, Isinya to that area. So what is unique about it is that we have a borehole on site. We also have done Maram roads on the property, and we are planning to do the fence, and the property is already well titled. So it's the power is also being put. By end of this year, we should have had power on the property. So it's got all the mixes needed to do that. We also hope to get some internet connection there so that people want to plug into Jambo Radio, they can plug in easily. But yeah, so those are the things we're working on with Birika.
And you can access Birika Gardens from Rongai, Isinya, and I think Gong, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, so you can access it through Rongai, Kiserian, and through Isinya. Also to note, the Kenya School of Flying is also there. And yes, and we have a couple of schools around there. We've got Dawamu. You've got quite a number of schools around there. So it's a good place to have a residential home.
And it's 25 minutes drive from Rongai, or is it from Kiserian?
Yes, so it's 25 kilometers from Rongai. So it's very near. It's very near Nairobi. It's about 40 minutes from Nairobi, so it's quite near.
That's really good.
So 40 minutes from Nairobi.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious how the value versus that equation comes in, so that I can try and figure out, because someone who's not, I don't know where Birika is. I can hear you mention other places which I know. So I'm trying to place where it is and why it might have this value, or how valuable it is, like to be priced, marked at whatever price you've put it on, and you'll tell us that, and tell us if we have any payment plans for someone who'd like a piece. Do we still have you there, Brian? Today, Brian's internet, he's letting us down. Luckily, I know it's Safaricom.
Yeah.
It's Safaricom.
How do you know?
I'm sure. Let him come back and let's see. We'll
could
just
be
ask him
Airtel.
directly. I thought there was Starlink in Kenya now. I was even going to tell him, that place you're putting the internet, use Starlink, please. I heard Elon Musk is now competing with Safaricom in Kenya.
Oh, is he? I've not heard that.
And the CEO is very angry.
Oh.
Even Mr. President was mentioning it, like, I know the CEO is not happy I'm bringing competitors
Yeah.
to his market.
Yeah, that's a.
Hello, Brian. Oh, let's hope he comes back. We need him to answer
Can
that
you
last
guys hear
question.
me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. Brian, hello. Tell me something more about your career as we wait for Brian. Where were we? I don't remember the last question I asked.
Now, I think you asked me a question. In Kenya, when you're selling properties, of course, you have so many properties, and so you have to look for buyers. In Dubai, you have... Brian, can you hear us? In Dubai, you have so many investors, but not a lot of properties. So you're out there hunting for properties, yeah.
For real?
Yeah. It's oh, yeah. Like
What
the
was I
company I
doing
used
in
to work for,
hospitality?
like 80 agents, and one property goes on the market and this is one company. So you can imagine there are many other real estate companies. So, you're literally out there grabbing whatever property you get.
Wow, I think Brian is back.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Brian?
Yes, I can. Sorry about that, guys. Like this,
Okay.
I don't know what's happening. Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah. So, so
We're talking about payment plans. Yeah.
So we've got a 30-month payment plan, meaning that you could pay within 30 months, zero deposit. So we're looking at about 30,000 Kenya shillings a month, which is quite fair. So to be honest with you, after 30 months, you're probably going to have capital appreciation of at least 15% on this property, given it's about 2.5 years. So that's what the payment plan is. So it's very, very flexible. The deal includes we will do the title for you. So at the end of the period, we will transfer the land to you.
Amazing. And about value, like, what is the closest estate close to Mbirika, what are rentals going for around that area? So somebody who's looking at, okay, this is the amount of money I'll invest, and I can see like rentals around this area. It's 40 minutes from Nairobi. I'm gonna really actually see, because when you say 15%, I don't have a number in my head, but you know how I know that when it develops and when there's new places, the rents get higher. I might be able to put a B&B or something else. Can you hear me, Brian? Hello? Hello? I think Brian's internet is acting like some phone app called Siri. Siri never listens to me. I don't know why. I've never been able to get a response from Siri. I don't know what I did, or it's my voice.
Oh dear.
So today we started the show off late, a little bit late, because of some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
And we're still facing them, so we really, really apologize. We were hoping to have a very, very amazing show and speak to Mr. Brian. But the good thing, we have our very own property consultant here, Violet. So we'll keep the conversation going. We were speaking about Dubai and how a lot of people, like, you have a lot of properties than you have, you have a lot of buyers than you have the properties. And now in Glasgow,
now when you come to the UK,
it's the other way around.
It's not the other way around, it's balanced. So you have people wanting to buy properties, and you actually have the properties. But I've just gotten into this market maybe like 2 years, and 2 years ago, and I'm realizing a lot of people wanting to build portfolios or buy properties, second houses, are people from England, people from here as well in Scotland, but because especially people in Glasgow as well, houses are quite costly in Glasgow compared to maybe 30 minutes drive from Glasgow.
So in terms of value,
I think Brian is back.
Rental income around that place.
Brian, the internet is really bad.
So in terms of the
Hello?
level of rental income,
I think we'll have to cut the guest off, because we really, really, really are having a hard time to get to him and have him answer all the questions. Hopefully we can reschedule this at a later date.
He's actually coming to the UK in a month or two, so he can
All right.
have him on
So
the
we can have him
street,
fully here.
Yeah.
Hopefully
yeah,
that happens then.
Yeah.
So as you were saying, Violet,
What was I saying?
we were talking about now the availability of property here versus in Dubai, and you were speaking about how it can be expensive in Glasgow, within the city or and the environs, but cheaper even when you go just 40 minutes away from Glasgow.
And I live 30 minutes off Glasgow, and houses are a bit cheaper compared to Glasgow. So when I tell people in Glasgow, this is the amount of money you can get for a 3-bedroom house, like in the places I live in, Ayr, Ivan, all these areas in Ayrshire, and they go like, and what am I doing in Glasgow? It's just by train is 30 minutes, driving is 30 minutes. So we're getting such a huge population moving from Glasgow and into the outskirts. So not necessarily Ayrshire, but there's also Perth, all those areas. So people are like, I've moved from Kenya, I've moved from London, I don't mind moving another 30 minutes, which will save me money. So people
Schools are better, less pollution.
Definitely, yes. Life is more quiet, it's villages, it's more clean, it's more quiet. I find it's a little bit more secure. So
Is it?
Yeah. You'll find kids playing outside by themselves sometimes. So
Okay.
it's really nice, yeah. And people are, of course, in Scotland, everybody's friendly. So most people are friendly. So, but it becomes even more friendly as you go out there.
Nice. I've been to Ayrshire. I've been to, is it Largs? Avon. And it looks beautiful, and it's by the ocean or sea? Whichever.
The Northern Sea.
Northern Sea.
Yeah. It's quite beautiful. I'm 5 minutes drive from the beach, and it's just absolutely gorgeous.
It's beautiful there.
Yeah.
So you would encourage someone who's in England to come and find property in the UK, but Scotland?
Yeah, I will definitely do that, in the sense that, again, as I said earlier on, it's a personal preference. But again, people, you cannot make a decision if you do not know the information. So you find in Scotland, some of the courses like nursing, paramedics, you're given bursaries. So basically it's free. So you don't want to start, and if you're looking to do that sort of career, you're trying to get your children into those sorts of careers, then it means, if you move in Scotland 3 years prior to starting university, then it means that you can get the bursary, and you don't have to start after 4 years. You don't need to start a life with like a 30,000 loan. So these are the kind of things you should look for. Houses are way cheaper here, so just depending on, again, personal preference.
I can see Brian is back. I don't know if we're gonna give it one more shot and see if we can get an answer to that last question. Can you hear me, Brian? Hello? Okay. Let's keep it moving. So now, you've said that it's cheaper here, or it's better here. There's more advantages to buying something in Scotland. When the land rates change and everything, does it change for both the whole country, or does it affect here differently than in England or maybe Wales?
Some things are quite different in Scotland, in the rest of the UK. Some are the same because it's all under United Kingdom. So it just depends on what it is you're looking for, and that is why I advise people, before you can get into buying a house, don't see just a house on Rightmove and just put in an offer. There are things you should, like this, like just something so basic, like when you see an offer, say a house is 70,000, and say, or put in your offer and you're putting in 72,000. No, you should actually bid lower. You should put prices a bit lower. So there are things you should be looking for: double glazed windows. You should be looking for mold. The things you should be looking for. Things you should be talking to a mortgage broker about. These are the laws, the regulations. There's so much information you should look into before actually purchasing a house. And that's why we had Jonathan last week on the show, and so he has so much information, and these are the information he has is just to help you buy a property in a better way, in your own advantage, to your own advantage.
I wonder what I would want to buy first, in fact, because looking at trying to get into property, if it's either you're having your deposit sorted out, or you have not quite the amount, because when you do mortgages, it's either you buy a new build, right? Or you can just buy a building that has existed and has just been redone.
When I did a property investment course in the UK for 1 year, and they say you should buy the dustiest, the smelliest house you can get, because once, maybe hypothetically speaking, you buy that house maybe at 60,000, you renovate it with 10,000. This is new floors, new kitchens, new bathroom. The value will shoot up maybe by another 20 to 30 grand. So immediately the value of that house, you've moved it from 60,000 to maybe around 80, 90,000. So that's immediately. So if you buy a house that's already made up, before that value shoots up by another 20, 30 grand, it'll take you a few years. That's the whole concept of buying, the dirtiest, smelliest house. So, and then you can remortgage this particular house. So instead of remortgaging it at 60,000, which was the value, maybe, if you bought it ready and the bathrooms, then they will remortgage it, they'll value it at 60 grand. But now this house is worth maybe like around 80, 90 grand thereabout. So you will remortgage it. The value of that house at that particular point will be like the increased value of 30 grand, which is around 60, 70, 80, 90, they're about 80 grand. And then you can put that money into another property. So, and that's how you can create your portfolio from one property into the next. So yeah, and to the next property, then you remortgage, and it keeps going. Then this particular rent you're getting from this house pays the mortgage. You have to make sure, if your boiler breaks down, then there's money for that.
There's no longer someone like your landlord to come and fix. It's your house. I think that's the difference between having your building and your...
No, really. If you buy this, but I know what you're asking, but from an investor's point of view, is if I'm buying this property as a buy to let, so you have put in a tenant. So if the tenant's boiler breaks down, it's your responsibility as the owner to fix it. Yeah. But then I'm talking about, say if the rent is 600 and the mortgage is maybe 300. So you have enough money to pay the mortgage. You put aside around 15% in case the boiler breaks down. Okay. You put a certain percentage, like 15%, aside for property management. Because you as the owner, imagine you have 100 properties and you're dealing, my water is not working, my door. No. You have to put it in where you have to put the property with a mortgage. What is it called? Not a mortgage. An estate agent to manage your property.
Yeah, property management.
Yeah, property management. So as long as one property leaves you after mortgage, after all these costs, as long as it leaves you between 100 150, then it's a good deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as yourself as Violet consultants, what do you do for people exactly? Are you only in selling property that is, are you selling new builds? Are you selling the ones that you've worked on? What else do you provide as a service, as a consultant? Is it even giving information to people? What does Violet actually do on a day-to-day?
So I'm helping people source for properties, especially property investors. This is a person who wants to buy a property that is, that is quite cheap. Not cheap per se, but is not the, these are the kind of people who will not go and buy their properties on Rightmove. So you source the properties for them.
What is Rightmove even? Some people here are very, very, what is Rightmove? I've heard it, but I'm not like
Zoopla, Rightmove. Yeah. All right. So if you want to look for a property, it's a website that basically just, all properties are there.
Okay.
Yeah.
In where? Glasgow,
commercials, the whole of UK.
Okay.
Yeah. But by the time a property is there, it's maybe the value is 70 grand, then that's the price you're gonna get it at 70 grand. But if you do sourcing, what I do, if I do sourcing for you, then before this particular product goes on to Rightmove, there's a way that before it goes to an estate agent, there's a way if you put it out directly from the owner and to me, then it could be around 65,000 thereabout, because there are some costs that you'll not have to incur.
Okay, because that will be now you'll handle what the agency would have done, and there's costs that they would have charged that are extra.
Yes, and kind of no, but there are people who are private. There are people who don't want their properties out there in the market. So these
they don't want just to have it somewhere posted online.
Exactly.
And that.
Yes.
So maybe you would find very nice houses.
Yes, I have so many properties. I even have a house for £30,000.
Also, I think I've worked at a bank, and I've seen sometimes someone has been deceased. And they really don't want to see their family home maybe online being posted, but it's a very intimate home, and they want to sell it to someone they think might, because sometimes the person who's been left doesn't want to stay there alone because of memories. So I see the reasons why they might need someone who put their property out there to sell, but discreetly.
discreetly. Yeah. So sometimes I sell on behalf of property owners, on behalf of other, real estate agents, because you have to work together. If a client wants something specific, then I have to look for that particular thing that is really specific. I also educate on, if you want a mortgage broker, if you want a tax accountant, this is where you go. This is one of my mentors. She put me through school for 1 year. She was my teacher basically, and she does training for a whole year. So whether you want to become a property, especially if you want to become a property investor, yeah.
The one thing that inspired me to want to do this show with you was just because of online pressure to see, when you see online how everyone is speaking about real estate and how to make money, and I was thinking, how will I learn this without going back to school, or I don't know, putting in work? You went to school and did a course, and you did that course even after you had already been doing the job for a number of years. So I guess the course was unique to the UK as well. It gave you more UK value, right? So I thought, okay, how will I learn this on the go? So I think I'm very smart because now that's why I'm here. I get to get free information from you and all the guests we bring onto this show. And I know this information is very vital and valuable. So I'm starting as well my own small property thingy. You know about it. I'm getting students to go to rooms. There's been a problem in Glasgow. You're aware of this problem and what might have caused it or is causing it?
So there's such a huge demand for student accommodation, and you can see in around Glasgow, in around universities, they're putting up like a lot of student accommodation, and the prices are quite really high, especially if you go through the universities. You're locked in for maybe 800, and that's for a whole year. So even if you leave after 2 months, then you still have to pay the difference. So it's a good way because you're secure. This is a place I can live for the next 4 years as I do my course. However, there are cheaper alternatives out here where you can live with somebody maybe from your home country. You share the same food, because when you come here, there's such a huge culture shock that hits you.
Especially for students, because probably some of them it's their first times, and I would say this for mostly students from maybe the Africa. Most of them coming to do a master's, that's the first time getting out of the country. You're not like well traveled, you've not been outside there. There's a lot of culture shock that can come with that. Loneliness. If you
there's even a loneliness minister in this country. Did you know that?
Yeah, you told me about that. I was like, what? What does he wake up and go and do?
Loneliness can actually kill. And I don't even know how it kills, but so sometimes you come here, you don't know where to get ugali, you don't know where to get the correct kind of meat, so you don't know which church to go to. So when you pairing up people, like say somebody who's just landed, you're pairing them up with somebody from the same country, so the cultural shock is not as so in as much as
there's a someone to talk to, someone to see whenever language, you're not feeling very up to it.
So in as much as we are giving out properties, or you're trying to get properties for people, there's also that psychological aspect where you're trying to lessen the culture shock. So
so I think you've got a couple of people into some houses, and I've done that too. And most of the feedback has been really great and positive. The people who are there and who've been matched with them, they're feeling like you saved the day somehow.
Especially most of them are people who've gone through student accommodation 1 year, 2 years.
They know the difference. Because I realized mostly when somebody has just newly landed in the UK and they still kind of think it's gonna be easy getting a room, I'm just gonna walk into somewhere.
It's not like Kenya.
I'll just Google and I was telling people, you better be ready. And also it's something from home that people who are coming to the UK to study, especially to study, I would say they have a very different outlook on what to expect here.
Yeah.
And so they come with the notion that there's a lot of jobs and money, and they will be able to actually go to school and work enough to pay their tuition, pay for their housing, meals, and that's not really correct.
Nah.
Unless you just don't go to school. So you have and even then you will really have to work non-stop.
You're only allowed 20 hours by the government, like, by the universities. So if you're doing 20 hours, save, and that's what, £200. So when you do £200 times 4, and you're in a student accommodation, so you're basically speaking, the 20 hours you're allowed to work is just to pay your rent. So, but then if you come in and we're giving you accommodation at 400, 500, then there's just a slight, room for you, to make you some extra money for food, and that's that's the difference with people who've been in student accommodation. Then they get into our properties vis-a-vis people coming in from Kenya. Where people coming in from Kenya, some know the difference and some don't know. But the ones who don't know get in here and reality hits them. The houses are expensive, especially when you convert 500 into Kenya shillings. That's coming to like maybe 70,000 Kenya shillings.
Yeah.
And that's a flat you will easily get in Kileleshwa. And most of these students don't even live in Kileleshwa,
Yeah.
So you come here and you're like, that's so much. And you come here and we've seen students who undergo a lot of mental health issues. Some even want, to commit suicide because they don't have the correct information. You come here and you are really shocked. So I know one of the crises they're facing is housing. So that's why I decided, we can give out information, whether it's in terms of student accommodation, whether it's in terms of investing here, because you'll find people, they have the money, they have the deposits, but they don't know where to begin, or they just don't have the information.
Yeah.
And I made it, a goal. I'm going to have to educate people. The little information I have, the people who are around me, who are molding me and structuring me, my mentors, I'm going to have most of them on the show, and they have so much information in terms of property.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what Violet was talking about a little bit earlier, is this concept we came up with, and this tries and place students with families. So if you're out there and you're from any community, especially the Black African community, and you have an extra or a spare room that you do not use in your house, if it's outside, any spare room you might have, we will get it to a student who actually needs to live with a family instead of staying in an expensive accommodation. Mostly goes around 500 pounds thereon. The students also get to live in a place where they can afford, somewhere they might be, be around people from the same background, share the same foods and meals.
Yeah.
Usually we ask that all that rent is all bills inclusive, is it?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and obviously also it will help someone's mental health, Getting to a new country obviously is not easy.
No.
Getting into a new country and, you're still studying. There's still pressure from home for a lot of students to perform, to provide.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're supposed to send some money home because you're in Europe, which is neither here nor there in reality.
I met somebody, sorry Tony, somebody, and he's been in this country maybe 25 years, and he told me if he knew not to send money back at home, there's no problem with that, right?
Yeah.
But I have a birthday, I have these, that kind of sending money.
Yeah.
He will be very rich. So he's like, I stopped doing that like 5 years ago, and I can see such a huge difference. I see people here who send money back at home, working 2-3 jobs just so that they can, keep up with
the black tax.
Oh gosh, is it called a black tax?
It's called black tax.
Yeah. So for students who come here, like it's you just basically 1 year you're studying, so you have a stress of studying. Most of them have left families back at home. So I run a charity where I'm helping people, especially women, and I'm not going to be biased and say just women. There's also men who are undergoing a lot of abuse, domestic abuse, and this now goes back to properties, in the sense that if you report or if you're not being loyal to me, I'm gonna throw you out of my house. So yeah,
so
yeah,
it can be used to be
yes,
something abusive as well.
Yes.
By the way, you're having a charity launch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Tell us
yes.
more about your charity and what's it's about and how comes the launch is now happening. Since I think you've already had this charity.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the charity is called Violet Ricky Leadership Academy. So Violet is me. Ricky is a priest from Tanzania. He runs a diocese here in Wisho, in a place called near Motherwell. So when we sat down together, we've been family friends for so long, we realized we have the same calling for helping underprivileged children, for helping vulnerable people. So we've been doing this for many years, but just registering it here in the UK, it's over 1 year and a half. Okay. So it's a lot of paperwork and a lot of groundwork before you can actually, start doing it correctly here in the UK. So we're launching it November 30th here in Glasgow, and we hope for people to come in with a lot of questions. Where can I get help in terms of a property? Where can I get help in terms of visas? Where can I get help in terms of I've been pushed out of my house or I've been thrown out of my house? Where do I begin? So basically is information.
Okay.
Yeah, because people here in this country will go hungry not knowing that we run a food bank, know. So people will stay, out or be pressed and go out and stay with their friends or stay in abusive relationships just because they need a roof over their heads. Yeah. Whereas there's so many opportunities just for you to get your own house, whether through the council or through acquiring a property. So there's just so many ways.
Okay. So with the Violet Ricky Foundation, basically what you're saying you'll be doing here, you'll have information. Are you working in partnership with other organizations, or how will you make sure that all these various things, as you've mentioned them, are catered to, and if someone came to you, they would be able to get the right information or being signposted to the right place?
Yeah, I work with various organizations. I will not say the names, but there are other charity organizations. There are other organizations that are not charities that you can work with, that I work with basically. So I don't have the infrastructure of, say, Women's Aid. So they have, so they have in-house counselors. They have funding to do things like, security systems, change your door locks, change your put security cameras, things like those. So they can put you in a safe house. So that's where I aspire to be in another 5 years or so. Okay. Yeah. So, but basically, I send in referrals to them. So if somebody is, been put out in their house, and the husband or the wife, whoever partner is abusive, will say, "Oh, I'm gonna remove you from my visa if you leave or if you phone the police."
Yeah, I've had such cases.
Yeah. They don't even know the starting point. So there's Red Cross, there's Scottish Refugee Council, and so there's just a lot of ways of dealing with these, especially, and it all boils down to mental wellness. So it's just really upset. The amount of calls sometimes I get in a day is it can be quite, it's quite sad sometimes, but it's about information.
So we are launching this 30th of November. What are we looking for? What will be the launch be about? What will be happening maybe? Yeah. Special guests. What do you think is the lineup? What should people expect when they're coming for the launch?
That day I'm hoping that people will just come together as a community, have some foods, sing to, dance to some Mugithi. Manthiongo will be performing. Our very own Simon Sims will be there. I hope, just for the community to integrate, just for somebody, if you're seated next to somebody who will tell you, you know what, you don't need to go through whatever it is you're going through alone. I'm right here. Even the students I support back in Kenya, like I tell somebody, instead of just sending £3 for school fees for one term, could you please be a mentor to this particular child? You know, if you have children who are here, when you're going home, could you take them a pair of shoes that, you know, maybe you bought them, or, you know, they become smaller to your children, you know? Could you just spend, you know, even if it's just an hour a month, just to look at their report form? That builds up their morale, that mentality, you know, that being a mentor. You know, you remember when we were kids, we used to have like pen pals or something.
Yes.
Yeah. So that same feeling is what
we used to have like 1 or 2. Now you have 1,000, or someone has 10,000 because everyone is online.
Because everyone is online. Yeah. But I at least, if in as much as sometimes if you're not able to even support financially, just even mentoring, because that in itself, just speaking to somebody a word of encouragement really helps a lot.
So is this like the Violet Ricky Foundation, is this part of your CSR? Because like I've noticed there's this thing about CEOs having their own way of giving back to the community. So you're having your own, you're a CEO for your consultancy, and this is your CSR part of the company. Because I also tried to do some CSR, and I think it's something I noticed with the last guest we had, Mr. Washuri. He has the foundation as well. So do you think, is that, I'm hoping this is something that means that we have something in common with CEOs, meaning we are heading places, because we instinctively, you had your own Violet Ricky Foundation, and then I told you about my coffee thing. Mr. Oshori has his. Dr. Oshori, I mean, so you see, there's something there. Do you think it comes with the people who are like trying to create solutions? Because when you're doing properties, it's solution based. Selling properties, you're trying to create solutions. Versus companies that just therefore maybe, I don't know, devices and stuff. You don't find them having a very strong CSR message out there. What do you think about that? Just something I noticed.
You'll find a lot of CEOs, directors, as part of their CSR, they are required to give back to the society. For me personally, it's been a calling. I've always been a giver. When your parent is always fighting you, stop taking alcohol, stop. My mom was always like, you're giving away a lot of your time, you're giving away a lot of your money, you're too kind, and it's not a good thing. Not in a bad way, but she's just trying to protect me and protect my resources, the little resources I have. So, or ahead. And up to date, I'm still like that. However, when I sat down with Father Ricky, he's a priest, we realized there's a better way of doing this. We can help more people while we do this. We find if we build a school, say in Kenya or Tanzania, and in Tanzania, not all, you're helping children get educated, and by the time they're being educated, by the time they finish their university at whatever point, they will still give back to the society. And there's also a feeling of coming from poverty, in the sense that sometimes you have no shoes, you have no food, you have no clothes. You want to, when somebody helps you, you want to give the same back.
Yeah, totally, I agree. And I hope when we launch it, it goes as far as it will. It gets to touch as many people as it will. And see, you said it will be in Tanzania. You're doing a school, and you're doing a school in Kenya.
We're planning to do 2 schools, Kenya, Tanzania. Yes. That's
a huge project. How long do you think you might like to, maybe, I don't know, is there a projection of when you think this might come to an ending or a conclusion, that it is done? And are you going to be funding the schools as well to keep them going? Because that means then this is not going to be just a small stint of a project. This is like a lifelong commitment.
Yeah. Hopefully, we acquire land maybe in the next 1 to 2 years. Hopefully the funding goes well. So 5 years, put up the infrastructure. In Tanzania, we've already started building. So the whole process of starting from scratch in terms of acquiring land and building is going to start in Kenya, but in Tanzania the infrastructure is already up. So what What was your next question?
So my next question is, okay, the progression and how you think you might, this is a lifelong commitment. So these schools will be fully funded by yourselves or your charity. The school fees, teachers, every aspect of the school in both countries.
One of my trustees is she's a Caucasian from here in Scotland. She runs a school here, so she's hoping to retire in 2 years. Then she can go start running the schools. They take the education system from here to there. We are hoping we can even give accreditation if we're given the right permissions, from the UK, meaning you go through the British system and maybe get scholarship and sponsorships from Kenya and directly to here, and you don't have to go through the process of transitioning if you've done the KC, the Kenyan system versus the British system. So we are hoping that 50% of maybe the children will have to pay school fees, but then 50% or whatever percentage, maybe 40 or 60%, do not have to pay the school fees.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
This is, I think, sort of CSR is also another way to invest in your community, invest in where you're from. The show is called Property and Investments Show. I'm thinking we need to bring a guest who will also inform us or tell us more about, how to venture into charities, CICs, for other people who are in the community and they have any passion to do something, to establish, there's always a gap somewhere. There's always a gap somewhere. Whatever you're trying to do with your charity does not even is not similar to what I'm trying to do with my community interest company. We're all trying to solve different problems. And I believe that as Black people here in the UK, we do have other challenges that are very maybe specific to us. And it would be even better to see more charities, CICs, that are owned by Black minorities, because we understand ourselves far better than anyone else. And although there might be other great organizations that are doing a great job, I believe there's a big importance in having us also coming up with our own solutions.
No, definitely.
Oh, we've had a great show today. We had a guest, Mr. Brian from Ocala, but due to technical problems and hiccups, we could not continue with the show with him. He's gonna be in the country soon, and hopefully we'll have him physically in the studio. But we did have a good conversation with my co-host Violet, and she gave us a little more gem about what she's about and what she's been doing. We've spoke there about charities, CICs, and we've just got an idea that we need to also look into that in terms of investment. Anything you want to say before we end the show?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
That is the show for today. Welcome to the Properties and Investment Show. We will be announcing our next guest pretty soon. And I hope you enjoyed and watched our previous show. With questions, please just DM us. Find us on Facebook, Radio Jambo, Instagram, Jambo Radio, and we shall be able to have better shows and improve on our guests and find people who will bring you solutions, answers, and let's take ourselves to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kwa kupitia interneti, kwenye simu yako ya mkononi, kwenye